Hi, everyone. It is Monday night, January 27th, and I see that many of you are working in the Moodle course to finish up your application one. I'm going to take a few minutes to introduce you to our next unit of content. It's currently hidden in Moodle, but I'm going to give you a sneak preview so that you can more easily navigate the unit once you start to get into it. All right, so here goes. So if you open up our course, on Tuesday morning, that's January 28th, I will reveal this new label. And this just describes the new unit and reminds you that your first reflection assignment will be due on Monday, February 10th. I'll retire this, and you will see a third unit available to you. This is called Kwayakotage. It's a bit of a tongue twister. Kwayakotage, to learn the true story. So if you open up this third, here's what you'll see. You'll get the typical unit overview that I provide that links you to the learning outcomes that are articulated on the course outline. As always, I start you with the assignment itself, so you can open up this document and have a nice close read of all of the questions that I'm asking of you in the reflection one. The reflection one is worth 10% of your final mark, and it will take you basically the span of the unit to complete it, because a lot of the questions ask you about unit content. So read through all of this, and you'll find each question that you need to answer linked here. Now, I don't need you to answer every single prompt that I include. These are just meant to guide your thinking. So don't feel like you have to answer everything in these bulleted lists. They're just to help you identify what it is I'm looking for. Identify what it is I'm looking for each question. So you can go through. Once you get to question 4, you're actually going to have to work through the unit content. So I'll show you what these items look like in a minute. But before I leave this document, I just want to point you to the success criteria. So as I mentioned, the assignment is worth 10% of your final mark. There are 8 questions included in the document. I'll mark each question out of 2 marks. So the total that you can earn for this assignment is 16 marks. I hope that you will spend at least 10 minutes answering each of the questions. And I don't give you a word count limit. Instead, I want you to assess your work based on this rubric. Did you provide an extremely brief answer, one that doesn't answer the question, or did you just skip it? Well, you're going to get a grade out of 0 or 1 out of 2 for those types of responses. If you want the full 2 out of 2 marks, what I'm looking for is a response that directly answers the question, provides evidence of critical thought, and engagement with the content. So you gotta actually watch the documentary if you want to get marks for the question that asks you what you learned in the documentary, okay? So at least 10 minutes per question. That's just typing your response. That doesn't include the time it takes to watch all the stuff. And then I have some simple instructions for submitting your work. As always, I don't care how you answer these questions. If you want to do a presentation, an audio recording, or something else creative, by all means go ahead. But what I noticed last year was a lot of the students just simply wanted to write out the reflection responses. That's perfectly fine. Back to the unit. So you've had a good read of the reflection number 1 assignment description, and maybe you've started on those first few questions. I include, as always, an opportunity for you to ask questions related to the assignment here. I'll post them if I get them, just so that everyone can be on the same page in terms of what you're going to do. These next 2 items are totally optional, but kind of fun. So if you click this link, it'll open up this art space. So you can actually draw on here. And I want you to use this as an opportunity to be creative and to express your thoughts as you work through the unit content. I'm calling it a virtual graffiti wall, but let's please keep it PC. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Same thing with the collaborative poetry writing. If you click on this link, you're going to open up a Google document, and it contains poetry that students from last semester started. You are more than welcome poems that already exist here. or if you'd like to create your own poem, and remember, song lyrics are poems, in my opinion anyway, feel free. So you can contribute as much or as little as you want. Even if you just want to go in and see what people are writing, you are totally free to do so, but it is an option, not mandatory. Under the reflect category is where you're going to find the actual unit content. So this first document, Kwayakotage, an overview of the policies and people who enabled the residential school system, take you just under 10 minutes to read, by my guess. As always, I include audio if you'd rather listen along. It takes me longer to read it out than it would probably for you to actually read it to yourself, so that's why it's a different timing there. But anyway, what you can do is either read or listen to this document that really contextualizes some of the stuff that was going on to inform how the residential schools came to be. So you'll learn more about the Indian Act, the Davin Report, and how the churches got involved with this system. Who were the Indian agents? How did the RCMP play a role? And then how did the system eventually close down? So this is like a chapter from a textbook, but it's one that I actually personally wrote. And I tried to really consolidate a bunch of information into a manageable chunk. So go ahead and read that, and then you can jump back to your reflection and answer question 4. Back in the course, the next piece that I include is a documentary explaining how the survivors of residential schools were meant to be compensated, but actually the whole process was a giant mess. So if you click on this link, it's actually going to lead you to a web page here. I can't bring this video into Moodle, so you'll have to go to the APTN site, and then this first video here, Truth or Reconciliation, is what I'd like you to listen to. It's 50 minutes long, but it's really excellent content. And if you click this little button here, Enable Full Screen, you can watch it in full screen mode. It'll probably be easier for you, considering it's a bit longer. Again, once you finish this documentary, you can jump back into your reflection and answer question 5. So you kind of see the flow that's happening in this unit, I hope. Back in Moodle, scroll back down to our unit. Last year, students wanted more examples of what students, their parents, communities, and other stakeholders in the residential school system, like the teachers, the principals, the Indian agents themselves, like how did everyone participate in such a terrible system? And was there examples of resistance or defiance of these structures? So in this little chapter, I've curated several examples of resistance. As always, you can click the audio to listen or you can read along. So I tell you about stories related to the parents, the children, burning down of residential schools, some more positive stories about teachers, and I also included this piece about the Bryce Report, which is a really important component, I think, of the story of the residential school system. So it's not a long document, it's only a couple pages, but it is, I think, an important one, and it responds directly to what students told me they wanted to learn more about last year. So read this or listen to it, jump back to the 6, asks you about your reactions to that document. Okay? Last but not least, we're looking at this very creepy video that I found. So this is a CBC archival video called The Eyes of Children, Christmas at Residential School. I know Christmas is over now, but it's really worth watching. But be ready, I think, to be a little bit weirded out. Because what this video was intended to do was to convince the Canadian public on Christmas Day, when it aired in 1962, that all was going very well at the residential schools, which we know it really wasn't. So if you click on this video, you'll listen, watch the documentary for about 30 minutes, and then again you can jump back into your reflection and answer question 7. Don't forget this last question eight, which is just a totally open-ended, what's on your mind? What have you been thinking about as the course progresses? What do you still want to learn more about? And please be open and honest here because I do use this feedback to help me design the course. All right, so there's the footage, and you can watch this one directly into Moodle. I was able to pull it in. So that's basically the unit, but once you've worked through all of that and you've finished up your actual assignment, as always, you're going to complete the short self-assessment, and then you can upload your assignment here directly. I've included, I think up to 20 files are allowed for this Dropbox. So if you answer your questions in different file modes, you can upload all of them. If you want to put your references on a separate page, you can do that too. And then I've also included this little key takeaways. So this time we'll debrief the unit in a word cloud that's collected. So if you click on this link, you'll open up this page that asks you to please share in a word what you'll remember from this unit. For me, the piece that really stands out is the children who ran away. So there, I just type that in, and then it will appear on the word cloud. If many of you type the same words, they're going to get bigger over time. So it'll be interesting as a group what we come up with here, okay? But you get to submit whatever it is you want. And you can also submit more than one time. So if there's more than one thing that you'll remember, you can write that too. So maybe you learned about Indian agents. That was a big one for students last semester. I know I said a word, if it, like a couple words is fine. You only have 40 characters, so do what you can with that. Seems like everything I'm coming up with is 2 words. So you get the idea. And that's just to help us collectively debrief our learning in the unit. And that's it from now until February 10th, okay? So any questions, always don't hesitate to email me. I'll see you online otherwise. Bye-bye.